Hey, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Centro Información Facebook Live. Today, I'm back with my partners of Social Security Administration. For the past 9 months, I've had the lovely time with my partners from there with Megan and Josephine. Today we have Megan, who we're doing our last presentation with them this month, sadly. I'm sure we'll do more in the future. Today's presentation is going to be the Representative Payee Program. Megan, welcome back.
Thanks so much for having us. It's been really nice doing these Facebook Live and having the opportunity to do this in English and of course later my colleagues in Spanish and get the word out on our different programs and to really break down some of them in small bite-sized manners that we get to do in Facebook Live rather than 1 hour-long session or throw a lot of information at you. So today we are going to talk about something that not everyone is familiar with, and that is our Representative Payee program. So a representative payee, that is someone we appoint to manage a beneficiary's money. A representative payee is for individuals who are the more vulnerable members of society oftentimes, such as minor children, the young, elderly, disabled, and within those categories, it includes people that are not capable of managing or directing someone else to manage their finances. So just because someone is older or disabled does not mean they have to have a representative payee. But those situations come up where it is a point where they're not able to manage their funds and they might need a representative payee. Some people just need it for a short period of time. Some people who might develop dementia or Alzheimer's might need it for the duration of their lifetime. So the situation can vary from individual to individual. We're looking at a person, an agency, or an organization, even an institution can apply to be a representative payee. I think I lost you there, Sally. Not sure. Okay, looks like I'm still on. I think I lost Sally, so I'm going to keep moving. And so we have a person, agency, organization, or an institution can be appointed as a representative payee. Institutions are sometimes the last step that we look at as far as someone managing the finances. And we prefer usually it's a family member or friend, and then we go down the line to those next preferences. So for individuals who, as far as who definitely needs a representative payee, so it's not really an option whether they have a payee or not, is a child under 18. There are some limited circumstances where we can go ahead and pay children under 18 directly, but that again, that's very limited situations, and that's when they're getting close to the age of 18. If an individual is declared legally incompetent, they have to have a representative payee unless that designation is removed by the courts. And then there's the individuals that are determined incapable of handling money. And this is a Social Security determination. It is not a legal determination for the courts. It is just our findings as far as specific to a representative payee. Now, a lot of individuals will contact us and let us know that their power of attorney, and they might ask to make changes on someone's record. So for instance, my mom is my grandpa's power of attorney, and she helps him with his bills, but he is not incapable or incompetent. So even though he has that power of attorney, he does not need or have the ability to have my mom make Social Security changes for him. So a power of attorney is different. It is a state level document, and it can be used for bank accounts, and power of attorney for medical is a separate issue. It does not make someone have the ability to change information. So for us, we do have that representative payee. That is the person who can manage funds for Social Security, for SSI benefits, make changes on someone's record, have access to their social security information. So it is an entirely separate program that we administer. As far as how we select a representative payee, we go ahead and right now we're doing the interviews pretty much all over the phone. In pre-COVID times, we would also do them in office many times, but right now they're done over the phone. So what we first do in this interview is we determine the relationship to the beneficiary, and then we discuss their qualifications. So, you know, it might be, like I said, back to going with my grandpa, he's 96. My mom, he is here locally, lives near him. My aunt, one of his daughters, lives in Arizona. So, of course, if it's the last resort, if my aunt in Arizona was the only one able to handle his funds, we might select her. But otherwise, we're probably going to look at my mom or my aunt or uncle that live closer to the area, because they're going to be more responsive to know about his needs. We'll also just make sure that person doesn't have any red flags as far as what might prevent them from being a good representative payee. We'll discuss all the responsibilities of being a payee, the duties, reporting responsibilities, so what you need to let us know, and liability for not reporting changes. So once you're in charge of someone's social security record, if they have something that is needing updated that could cause an overpayment on the record, that's the payee's responsibility. And if an overpayment occurs, we may eventually have to go to that rep payee for the funds if we don't get them back from the beneficiary. So it is a big responsibility. As far as the main duties, of course, just using it for the person your payee's for needs and saving the remainder. Many times you have to file an accounting report. If you're a parent of a child, you generally do not have to do that anymore, but otherwise you usually need to file a accounting report. And if you're no longer the responsibility, you know, beneficiary is no longer your responsibility, maybe you're moving, maybe they've moved out of the area, then you need to let us know, because maybe we need to change the payee or possibly even pay the person directly if they're ready at that time. So when you apply to be a payee, we're going to give you that list of reporting responsibilities, all the things you're required to let us know about. As I mentioned, we're going to potentially ask you to file an annual reporting and let us know if you can no longer serve as payee, and return any money. If you're stopping as a payee, we want the money that's saved back so we can pay it out to the new payee. And other events to report include if the person that you're paying for passes away, they become married, divorced, or have an annulment. If they change their address, if you change your address, both of those things we need to know. If either of you are convicted of a crime, or if the person that you're payee for, if their medical condition improves and they're on disability where you feel like maybe they no longer need to be on a disability benefit. If the person you're payee for passes away, it depends on which program they're receiving benefits for, if we need that benefit back that you receive. So for Social Security, we are paying a month behind. So here we are in February. We are paying January's check in February. So as long as somebody lived the entire month of January, they are due the payment that was paid to them in this month, anytime they receive a check in February. Once we cross over into March, they are not due that benefit. Even if they live to the last day of February, they're not due a check unless they live the entire month. So if the person lived all the month of January through February 1st or later, they're due the month this month. But if they had passed away January 30th or January 29th, any of those days before the last moment of the month, they wouldn't have been due the check received this month. Now, whereas SSI, the check is payable for the month of death. So same premise, if they receive the check this month, it's actually paid for this month and they're still due that. As far as how to spend a beneficiary's money, again, their food, clothing, and shelter needs, we're going to look at those first. We want all of the basics taken care of, just like you would with your own bills. We want to take care of the necessities first, then move on into anything else, personal comfort items, and saving for foreseeable needs. One thing to keep in mind, though, is if a person is receiving from SSI, you have to be careful how much you save, because there is some resource limits there in that program. And then after everything else is taken care of, you can look at incidentals or personal money for fun, things like that. For an individual in a nursing home, things are a little bit different. Generally, there's going to be $30 allotted for the personal needs. If they're an SSI beneficiary, they're only going to receive $30 a month usually, and then their check will just be going down that amount if Medicaid's paying for their care. For Social Security, many times the nursing home is going to take all of the Social Security check but the $30 or sometimes $60 depending on the situation. So these are just things to be aware of. Unless somebody has long-term care insurance or is paying for the nursing home out of their savings, generally they're only going to have at least, but we want at least $30 accounted for their personal needs, because the nursing home should be allowing in every situation at least that amount. And then for institutions, for Social Security, part of the funds can be used for support of dependents, spouse, child, or parent. With SSI, again, we're not going to be paying them that full check anymore, so that option is not available. An SSI check is for that person's own needs, and we don't pay additional benefits to family members. Once all needs are met for someone, you can look at any outstanding debts they have. So if they have, a credit card debt, you're not necessarily required to pay that unless it involves Social Security or SSI or IRS or a garnishment. But of course, to help that person out, help their credit rating out, if they have outstanding debts to others and they've met all their needs, then you can look at paying down those other debts. Sometimes when you become a payee, maybe the person is first being awarded, they might be due a large sum of money. So what you would look at is, after you've taken care of all the first priority and put some in the savings, you can look at larger purchases like a car or a home, depending on what their situation is. So anything that can improve their living condition, medical equipment, or providing them better medical care. Maybe they don't have dental insurance, so they haven't gone to the dentist in a long time. That might be something you want to take care of with those larger sums. And like I said, if it's a lot of money, I've even had individuals be able to purchase a home with at least put the good down payment on that home and then have a better living situation because they're moving out of a high rental situation or something like that. Also, training for becoming more self-sufficient, recreational activities, if they have everything taken care of and they want to go and do, a small vacation, something like that, just like you would do for yourself. Again, you're going to handle their money, take care of all the necessities, then look at other incidentals they can do. As I mentioned, the home is a special purchase that can be done, a large purchase. If you're uncertain about it, or any other large purchase, you can contact Social Security, just kind of talk it through with a representative. This is what they have. This is what I'm thinking about. Just want to make sure that this sounds okay to do, and we'll be happy to answer those questions. As far as keeping records, we do ask you to keep track of how the money is being spent. So how much was received, how much was spent, and how much was saved. I recommend to people keeping a ledger, maybe keeping a box with receipts in it for a period of time, just in case your duties are called into question. Maybe you get in a fight with the person that you're payee for and they call us and they say, they're taking all my money to the boat and gambling it. So, well, then you can say, no, here it is. Here's the rent receipts. Here is all the things that happen, because these situations do come up. And so you just want to cover your bases when you're keeping records. And as it's talking about, using a computer program can help in keeping those records, especially if they're on SSI. We want to keep that resource limit below $2,000, so you don't want to save too much. If they get back pay, they get a period of time to spend that down, but otherwise they need to keep it below $2,000 to keep their checks. If you are a payee for a number of people, then you need to keep track of how the interest goes to each individual. That is more for an organizational payee rather than an individual payee. And again, keeping up-to-date reports. As I said, you should save for at least 2 years. So if you keep a box of receipts and records, just save them for at least 2 years. That annual accounting form that many payees are required to do, it is going to ask those basic questions. We're going to say, we paid you this much for this last year of time. How much was spent? How much was saved? There's a remark section to make note of any large purchases, things like that. And we do have this form online. So if you're able to do it online, that's the best way to take care of it, because it provides you confirmation that you've submitted the form. With mail, sometimes these cross in the mail and we don't get them in right away. So it's always good to have that confirmation if you're able to do it online that you did complete the form. You do not need the paper form if you do it online. If you get something in the mail, it might have a code for you to use or information on how to complete it online. We offer that online feature to help you complete the report. You're going to have a username, user ID and password. So every year you can just log in and complete it right online. If you want, you can print and copy and store it for your records. So we do have a great guide in our publication section on socialsecurity.gov, a guide for representative payees. It's several pages long, and we usually give this out in the mail when we're mailing the application. But if you ever want to look through it, you can get that on socialsecurity.gov in the publication section. We have a dedicated page for payee, so ssa.gov/payee, and that has a lot of great information for payees, talks about the online reporting form and all that kind of information. You can always call our toll-free number and ask any questions or set up a phone appointment to apply if you think there is someone that if you're in need of a representative payee, or you think that you're helping someone who might need a representative payee, you can call and set up an appointment. As part of the interviewing process, we're also going to send something to, ideally, if someone is not legally incompetent, we're going to ask maybe a doctor's opinion. If there's a medical doctor or a counselor, psychiatrist that you see, we'll ask them about the capability when we're developing a payee. We're always going to talk to the person themselves whenever possible and go through questions in regards to money management and just kind of determine the need for the payee. But then if you should be selected as a payee, you're going to go through and have all those reporting responsibilities. That person that you're payee for will be notified that you've been made the payee, and you'll have to work together to make sure that you keep up with all the responsibilities of it. So here, of course, we like to always show you our socialsecurity.gov page and make sure that you are familiar with that. This is where you can get the information. If you go to the menu tab and go to publications, you can get that guide. If you want to talk to someone directly at your local field office, so maybe you're already a payee and you have a big expenditure you're thinking about, and you're just like, I'd rather talk to someone at my local office. You can put the zip code in and call someone at the local office to talk that through. And we like to remind you that we have our coronavirus updates page that we'd love you to subscribe to, so you make sure you keep up to date on any changes that we have, any of our operation status changes related to the COVID-19 pandemic. You'll just get an email every time we update the page. And anytime we also have a captive audience, we always like to throw in our phone scam awareness just to make sure that everyone continually is being reminded of the dangers of phone scams, which can be, a rep payee can also fall victim to, and they're in charge of someone else's money. So you got to be particularly careful that you're not losing the person that you're payee for's money to a scam as well. So just know that we're never going to call and threaten you. We're never going to suspend a social security number, demand immediate payment, require payment by cash, gift card, wire transfer, things like that. And just always please hang up on these calls. Do not give personal information of yourself, your children, your spouse, or anyone you're payee for. And then if you have time, report that scam to our oig.ssa.gov page. So that's just a little information on our representative payee program. And so again, it's something not everyone's aware of, but it's a service we have available to make sure that those who need that extra help are being cared for and not taken advantage of when they're having their money managed. Oh, I can't hear you, Sally.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
If I did anything, I don't know. Our connection, I think, here is failing us. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
I just wondered, will there ever be a point where a person as a payee would be denied being filing as a payee with something?
Yes, there are situations. Some situations are just that we might find that someone else is a better payee. So like I gave that example of my aunt in Arizona versus my mom. Well, say for some reason they both apply at the same time. They didn't communicate with each other or whatever reason. When we might say, well, this person that lives close by and sees their dad several times a week seems like a more suitable payee than the person that lives several states away. There are certain barred crimes that prevent someone from being a payee at times, especially those involving, deceptive practices with finances. So just because you've had a crime does not mean you can't be a payee, especially if you're a parent of a child or high on the priority list. But there is a list of crimes where we just say, unfortunately, we're not able to pay you as a representative payee because of this, crime on your record. So there are those. And there's sometimes just, like I said, conflicts, custody conflicts, things like that, where we just have to go ahead and decide who we think is the best representative payee for the situation.
And what happens if the person who is a payee passes away, how is there like a next in kin or next person?
Yeah, that's a good question.
You put?
So one of the things we have now, and I should have put a slide in it. First of all, we have something called advanced designation now, where you can actually, when we apply for benefits or in your My Social Security account, state some options of who you would like to be considered to be your representative payee, should you need one. The other thing is when we take a payee application, like say my mom did apply to be payee for my grandpa, she would list my aunts and uncle as other people. And so then if something should happen to my mom, we would go in and say, well, who else was listed here? If they have it, we always ask for the address and phone number of those people. So we have it in our system. So if something happens, we have a lead. But yes, if you have a payee and they pass away and you're able to contact us to let us know and to tell us, oh, this is the person, then we'll go ahead and get, something set up to interview that person. Or again, if you've managed to maybe had some changes in your life where you're now able to manage your money yourself, you can always apply to receive your benefits directly, because sometimes people just need a little time to learn some money management to get things back on their feet, and then they're able to take it back over as well.
Right. Yeah. Okay, very good. Well, I thank you very much for this information. Learn a lot always with you ladies with all the information I didn't know myself. So it's very helpful. And I hope it's been helpful to the community as well. As I said, the past 9 months, you guys have really stepped in and helped me out with all this, like the luxury of actually being able to do it in both languages. So it's nice, even though, that's the power of technology to be able to be in different places and be able to provide this. So thank you, Meg. I like I said, we'll be in touch, and I know we'll work together again, but I really truly appreciate all this information and working with you these past.
Thanks for spreading our message for us.
Thank you.
Being a good partner with us.
Yes. So have a good evening, Megan, and take care. Goodbye, everybody. Thanks for joining us.